Hey guys, welcome to GDTV. My name is Chris. Welcome back to the GTI. Coming at you today with a special video. It's probably going to be a little bit shorter than the other ones. For Wednesdays, which is today, Wednesday, February 15th. Wednesdays are my days off, and that's usually when I shoot videos. And I have a whole list of new videos that I want to shoot to try and keep things fresh and thinking about new things to do with the car and new videos to shoot. But something interesting happened on Monday that I thought I would take a few minutes here to shoot a video on. So Monday morning I was heading into the office actually a little earlier because we had a pretty big snowstorm all day through Sunday. Getting in a little bit earlier to try and sweep off the vans before everybody comes in. And so I'm coming down through a spot almost through downtown Westboro, Massachusetts here. There's a road called 135 that goes right straight through town. There is a portion of 135 that actually goes underneath Route 9. Route 9 is a state highway that goes east to west through town and actually goes almost straight through Massachusetts. So I was coming in, and just as I was going underneath the bridge, a plow goes over me above the bridge. Now, whether it's your conscience or your subconscious, something sees that. And I know I saw that not out of the corner of my eye, but out of the top of my eye. I saw it, and I saw the ton of snow that was just forced over and in between the guardrail of the bridge, and saw it come just tumbling down on top of my car. So all that snow and ice just comes straight through the windshield, because like 99% of it all goes onto the windshield, comes straight through the windshield, goes into my face, and just gets splattered all up in the inside of the interior of my 3-month-old car. And again, this all happens in a split second. On the other side of the bridge, I pull over to the side. There isn't much of a shoulder, but what can I do? There's snow and salt and ice and glass all in my face. Thankfully, I wear glasses when I drive. But there was loads of snow all over me and all over the inside of the car, and glass all over the inside of the car. So I pulled over, and I put the car in park, throw on my hazard lights. I don't even remember putting on the hazard lights. They were on when I just get out of the car just to look at what happened and just to recover from the shock. And I instantly knew what happened, because again, it was just, my subconscious registered that snow was coming down, even though I wasn't fully conscious of it. So I knew exactly what had just happened. I count myself very, very lucky, and you'll see some pictures of the incident. I'll put up through here, through the video. I didn't shoot any video at the time because actually I pulled over. I called one of my employees on the phone immediately just to come get me. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was just in shock. So but I immediately hung up because I'm just like, wait a second, the car is still totally drivable. It may not look like it, but it is drivable. It's just the windshield that's blown in. And I was only about 1/8 of a mile away from the office, probably about 600 or 700 yards. So I jumped back in the car. I had my gloves with me, thankfully, because my right hand was actually holding up the piece of glass that had blown in, piece of the windshield that had blown in, that was still hanging there, that was actually, you can probably see it. This is part of the damage right here, is on the steering wheel. It actually came down and hit the steering wheel. You'll see it in the pictures. So I was holding that piece of glass up to allow me to steer, and I drove to the office. And one of my employees was there, and she was outside cleaning off one of the vans, and I turned to her and I said, "So how's your Monday going?" And she turned to me, and then she saw the car, and she, was very, very surprised. But got into the office and really just cooled down a little bit, because I was shaking, or really wasn't thinking straight. So after getting something to drink, I wish I had something a little bit harder to drink, but all I had was some water. I grabbed some water, took my clothes off, took my wet gloves off and everything, warmed up, because with the big ass hole in the windshield driving in, it was freaking cold. So walked back outside to really assess exactly what had happened. And again, as you see in the photos, that it was 99% of the windshield. There are some dimples on the roof, just where the roof meets the windshield. Nothing on the hood, not even a scratch on the hood. And then, of course, everything on the inside of the car, all the snow, just so much glass inside the car, from big pieces to just these. And I'm still fine. This is 2 days later. I've vacuumed it out 3 times, and as well as the windshield people vacuumed it out once as well, and I'm still getting slivers of glass in my hand. So I immediately, because it was starting to get above freezing, I immediately pulled it up next to the front door of the office, grabbed the wet dry vac, and just sucked up all the snow and whatever glass I could get as well, but mainly the snow, because I didn't want that stuff to start to melt and just do whatever to the car. Immediately after I did that, immediately called my insurance company, because after assessing the car, there was not any real damage except for some scuffs on the dash and my steering wheel, all the snow on the inside, the windshield, and those dimples on the roof. But I needed to get the windshield taken care of. I needed to get the interior buckled up. So thankfully it had already stopped snowing, so that wasn't a problem. So they were really, really great. I had, like most people have on their policies, you have the glass part of the policy, and they were able to, to find somebody to come out and see me. Unfortunately, they called a few minutes later, said because it was windy and because snow is being blown around, they can't have any moisture whatsoever on the adhesive when they're swapping out the windshield. So they weren't going to be able to do it outside. And they were like, well, our place up in Marlboro, which is probably about 20 minutes away, you can bring it to our garage and we'll do it in there today. And I was like, I would need to get it towed. It would cost this, whatever. So I took a few minutes to think about it. I called up my dealership, again, Colonial Volkswagen here in Westboro. Called them up. They gave me a recommendation of a glass company that they specifically use. Unfortunately, they didn't have the glass in stock, and it was going to take about 2 or 3 days. But then I asked Colonial if I get, and it was J&J Phillips Auto Glass who actually did the glass. I was curious if I could have it towed to Colonial, which is just 2 or 3 miles away. It wouldn't cost very much to get it towed. If J&J Phillips Auto Glass could actually use one of their bays to swap out the windshield inside, and they were perfectly fine with that. They agreed to it. So and I explained to them the problem, and I think everybody, even after I explained what happened, people who didn't see it, they automatically just assume that it's like, oh, it's a cracked windshield that's just going to need to be replaced. But until the tow truck driver actually dropped off the car at Colonial Volkswagen, they really realized what I was talking about. They were surprised I was even alive. Although if you see where it came in, if it would have been a foot over towards the right a little bit more, it would have been the whole windshield would have blown right into my face. As it was, I still got a face full of snow and ice and glass, but the windshield didn't hit me. So it gets to the dealership. Jay and Philip shows up, and I get a call probably about 2 hours later that it's done. I'm like, okay. I head over there after I get done at the office. I asked the guys at the dealership, the guys in the service department, just to take a quick once over, just to see if I could get any kind of estimate as far as the as far as the dimples go, as far as replacing the steering wheel, as far as there's a nick, there's a little slice here in the dash, and the only way to replace that is to actually tear the entire dash out. So they were giving me those types of estimates that I can use to go to the state, as far as, and I'll get to that in a second. So I go in and pick that up. I talk with the service guy for a little bit. I jump into the car and I start the car, and I'm getting faults all over the place, which I didn't get faults before. I'm getting seatbelt faults, I'm getting airbag faults. And the only guess, and the tech comes over, I let him know what's going on, the tech plugs it in, and he gets out all the faults. It gets a printout of all the faults. And it's funny how accurate these sensors are, because the sensors are saying this airbag, whatever, this airbag system is not working because of environmental conditions. So it knows that it got wet, it knows something happened on the inside of the interior, because that's exactly what happened. The places where I didn't find the snow, the crevices where the snow was still melted throughout the day and got into the sensors. It was mainly on the passenger seat, where the passenger seat sensor that senses when somebody's actually sitting on it, so it turns on the airbag. And then when somebody's not sitting on it, it turns off the airbag for the passenger side. That was the main fault there, as well as the seatbelt. Both seatbelts, because I jumped in and they couldn't really tell me exactly what was going on with the seatbelt, because the seatbelt light was up here. But when I jumped in, put on my seatbelt, drove away, those 5 dings that you get every 15 seconds when you don't have your seatbelt on, that was doing it all the time, no matter if I had my seatbelt on or not. So that was freaking annoying. So I get home, trying to get this long story short, I get home, actually that night, I actually toss a dehumidifier in the back of the car, plug it in, let it run all night. Thankfully, the next morning, I get up, I get into the car to drive into the office, and all the faults are gone. The airbag faults, the seatbelt faults, everything. Nothing comes up on the screen, thankfully. So that was just a moisture problem. So that's taken care of. So now it's time to take care of actually filing a claim. Now I called the city, and because the plow was actually driving on Route 9 above me, Route 9 West. Now, Route 9 is a state highway, so it actually would be the state's responsibility. So she gave me a phone number to the state. The state has a claims phone number, but it just goes to a voicemail. That's it. And they let you know that they'll get back to you as soon as possible and whatever. So, didn't hear anything all day. Let's see, all day. Well, most of the day Tuesday, I get a phone call late Tuesday afternoon. Unfortunately, how you file a claim with the state is that you actually have to type something up, print it out, and mail it to them. There's nothing online. You can't talk with somebody. You can't find nothing. Gave me the mailing address. Let me know exactly what to put in the claim. Describe the entire situation, where you were, the times. Thankfully, right when I got out of the car, like I said, I immediately called one of my employees. So I have that timestamp on my phone. And it was 8:15 a.m. So, before 8:14 and 8:15 a.m. on Monday morning, that's when it happened. And he's like, we need that info so I can pinpoint exactly what route and exactly what truck was on that route at that time. So I got that information all in there, and everything. I printed out all the pictures that I could, threw it in an envelope, and tossed it in the mail yesterday. So that's where I'm at now. I don't know. I'm pulling into a car wash actually, because the car is absolutely filthy. not with just, you know, I haven't washed the car in a couple of weeks, but, you know, on the hood and on the roof now is just all salt because of all that salt that came in. But, you know, what really pisses me off about this entire thing is, one, my car is 2.5 months old. It's my first brand new car in my life. And now I got to deal with, you know, a windshield being blown into the thing. And I've cleaned this thing numerous times and I'm still finding slivers of glass everywhere. And it just doesn't feel, it still feels new. It still smells new. It feels different. It feels ruined, like it was in an actual accident. I mean, it was in an accident, but there was no body work, nothing done like that. But and what also pisses me off is that, you know, you go around town, really any town, and you're seeing a lot of the bridges have, you know, special barriers up that are there for the winter, specifically for this type of you know, snow plow incident that could happen with people going underneath the bridge. But this bridge, and I'll throw up a couple pictures here, this bridge has no protection on it whatsoever. So, and it's not a very high rail, it's just a concrete rail with you know, concrete pillars every 6 inches or so. So of course snow is just gonna come flying up over there, especially when it's, you know, it's 55 miles an hour on Route 9. He probably wasn't going 55, you know, in the middle of the snow. He was probably going 40, 45, 50 miles an hour. So guys, the GoPro kicked out. Sorry about that. I ran out of time on the GoPro. I had 2 or 3 other videos on there that I've already recorded. So I just want to say, thanks for watching. Subscribe. I'll keep you all posted as far as what happens, what I hear from the state, if I hear anything from the state. Like hell, I'm going to put any of my money into this. It's not my fault. It's totally their fault. But now I guess it's on me to actually prove it. And so again, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.